Right. Okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's meeting of the Middleford Town Council Planning Committee on Tuesday, the 21st of October, 2025. Before the meeting starts, I'd like to read the official disclaimer. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Middleford Town Council YouTube page. The aim is that decision-making should be transparent and in the public domain to involve more of our community in local democracy. By being in this council chamber, you are consenting to be being recorded and for your image to be added to YouTube. Images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed are the speaker's own and do not necessarily reflect the view of Middleford Town Council. Please view the guidance on recording and public meetings policy if you need more information. Right. Okay, moving on to the first item on the agenda, item 36. Apologies and approvals of any substitute members.
Apologies from Councillor Hawley, Councillor Hopkins and Councillor Smith.
Right, okay, thank you. Do you have any substitute members for those?
No.
Right, okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. Moving on to declarations of interest. Declarations of disclosable, any disclosable pecuniary and dispensations to declare. Don't all shout at once. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Any other interests to declare from those present for any items on the agenda? Okay, I may have, I don't know, we'll come if it comes to it at the point, I'll make that known. Okay, so moving on. Item 38, minutes. To approve minutes for the planning committee held on the 16th of September 2025. These meeting minutes have been through the town council. Councillor Proudlove.
Yeah, just on item 28, apologies. I could have sworn that I gave Councillor Smith's apologies. She's just marked as absent. And it's the same for town community as well.
I'll be honest with you, I can't remember, but
We'll go back and check.
We'll go back and check, but okay.
Because she actually texted me while I was sat here before the meeting.
Okay, we'll check that, and if that is the case, then we will amend it. Do I need to wait to sign these? Okay, right. In that case, is everyone happy with them? Do we need to take a go through them, or are we happy to receive them and say, "Oh, can I have a show of hands, please?" For okay, thank you very much. Just talk amongst yourselves while I do the necessary.
Is she?
21st. Okay, right. That is dealt with. Thank you very much. Moving on to item B, to receive the notes of the Neighbourhood Plan Implementation Working Group meeting held on the 17th of September. You should all have seen those. Yes, Councillor Rogers.
Yes, you can because I remember that fellow.
Yes, yes, I was going to say who was the yes, Councillor Hawley isn't here, is he? So okay, so you're moving them in Councillor Hawley's absence. Have a second for that, please. I don't think you have to be at the meeting to have been to be able to say.
Yeah.
No, have a second for it. Okay, thank you, Councillor Redfern. Okay, do we need to go through it quickly? One, welcome, 2, declarations of interest, 3, apologies, 4, confirm the notes of the meeting on the 14th. So any planning applications referred from the planning committee. 7, updating activities since the last meeting. 7, to consider action plan updates. And 8, date next meeting. Can I have a show of hands, please, are we receiving them?
Receive them.
Receive them? Okay, right. So those duly received unanimously on that. Thank you very much. Close that one down, move on. Okay, so item 39, standing agenda item. Consider any proposed sites for local listing. Madam Chief Officer.
I have nothing to update here unless anyone else has got any suggestions.
Okay. Just for the point of reference at this, one of the applications in front of us today is actually one of the buildings that was on the local listing proposals last time round that is currently pending more information, but we'll come to that at the time. Okay, so moving on to item 40, new planning applications. You should all have received my summary of the planning applications. First application is SMD 2025-0374. Mr. Charles Gibson of Leonard's Farm, Hot Lane, Middleford. It's for the demolition of a steel framed building and derelict farmhouse and the construction of a 4-bedroom replacement farmhouse. There was pre-application advice, which the comment from that was it was generally favourable. Not sure, it wasn't all listed in detail. The proposal essentially is the demolition of a vacant farmhouse that was last occupied as the family's main residence 20 years ago, and a separate detached steel frame bar garage storage, and replacing these with a bedroom property. The existing property was a 1/2-bedroom and a small conservatory and 4 attached storerooms, abutting a cow shed and milking shed. And the separate barn is a 79 square metre separate barn. Those are going to be demolished, and a new 4-bedroom house will be built, detached house will be built, detached and away from the cow shed, with the garden overlapping an area of the demolished barn. Materials, the walls are existing locals. The existing building was local stone, and that will be reused with additional matching stone from the same quarry. The roof tiles will be match the existing tiles that were on the original building. The existing windows and doors were timber framed, and they'll be replaced by double glazed UPVC windows and aluminium bifold doors. There was a design, actually, first of all, it is in the green belt, but the statement is that it's not, there's no VNG applicable because it's a self-build. The design access statement was provided. This is the location on the screen here, Leonard's Farm, Hot Lane. This is the design access statement. This, I think, might be useful in reviewing the situation. So that's the existing site. Replacing the small derelict farmhouse and several adjoining and separate farm buildings with a significantly larger, more modern family dwelling built to traditional materials, with features not uncommon in the wider area, is as what this is specifying. The total area of the new property is similar to that of the total of buildings that are being demolished. In the other supporting statements, there is a BAT survey was recommended by the pre-application advice, and that's been completed, and there were 2 different reports included. Both suggest a small possibility of non-breeding roost for bats, recommending roosting features to be incorporated into the new designs, quoting section 15 of the NPPF. A bigger, wider apex ecology report also recommends voiding bird nesting season, the provision of bird boxes, and requires a plan for dealing with invasive Himalayan balsam. I recommend reading that one because that has got a lot of information in. In terms of the neighbourhood plan policies, I believe there are 5 policies impacted by this. It complies with housing HOU 1 because it's one of the welcomed types of development is self-built housing. However, I have concerns regarding urban edge, sustainable drainage, and DES 1. In that, there is no clear boundary statement shown on the plans for the property, nor the access road. If we go back to that, there's quite a long access road here, and there's no indication of how that will be dealt with, which I think the urban edge would suggest that we need to have details on that. The INF 1 and DES 1, so the sustainable drainage, going back to this, there is a very large paved area around the property. This is the new proposal, and there's no indication as to whether that will be sustainable drainage, will have sustainable drainage or not, or what the material will be. No indication of where there would be bin storage. And while the design is high quality, it is very significantly different to the existing design, and there's no information in terms of innovative energy efficiency features that might support this more. If we look at I think this is the best way to look at it. That's what's going to be built, and this is what's currently there. So it is quite significantly different. The other thing is that on the plans, there is no indication of any parking spaces, and they're specifying 2, I think, on the application, and the requirement for a 4-bedroom property would be 3. So it does actually contravene DES 2 rather than it being queryable. So I've got some recommendations in here, but I'll go around the room first. I think Councillor Jones, you had your hand up first, and then Councillor Rogers and Councillor Law.
Sorry, Chair, I didn't realise Phil Gibson was the applicant, I presume.
Yeah.
So it's somebody else, so I'll declare an interest because I know Charlie and his mum. So I'll take them through the report and the discussion, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor- Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Jones. I had a feeling it might be with it being a bit of more one, so Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, thank you. I'm all in favour of the development. I think it's beautiful. The only thing I'm thinking about is it shared access, isn't very clear on the map.
No, it's not at all clear. It does look like it probably is shared access. So
Absolutely, because I'm concerned about anybody else who's involved in the shared access.
Yeah.
But not actually the development itself.
yeah, okay, thank you. Councillor Lawton.
I'm just seeking a bit of clarification, please.
Yes.
You've used the phrase 2 or 3 times here, sustainable drainage.
Yes.
What is sustainable drainage as opposed to non-sustainable?
I should actually defer to Councillor Yates on this as our. Do you want to answer that one, Councillor?
Drainage effectively refers to drainage which can be done on site and doesn't impact local water courses and put pressure downstream and run the risk of potential flooding. That's perhaps not a textbook explanation, but that's the reality. So in other words, whatever comes down from the sky is absorbed within the area to make sure that the water courses become sustainable. Avoid runoff.
So essentially, the definition within our neighbourhood plan, which is obviously the document we refer to on this, is that it ensures all hard surfaces are water permeable. And it's not stating that on the plans whether it is permeable or not. I think that would be a key thing. It says also ensuring sufficient capacity in the wastewater infrastructure. That development includes other measures for surface water and wastewater disposal. I think this is all going into a septic tank. But I say my concern was about the large paved areas. So essentially on this, my recommendation is currently that if it is approved, then all recommendations of the Ecology Services be included as conditions of the approval, but only if it's compliant with Greenbelt regulations, and additional information on boundary treatment, sustainable drainage, bin storage and additional car parking is provided to the satisfaction of the planning officer, comply with the Biddulph neighbourhood development plan. Otherwise, I would suggest we recommend refusal. I think there are too many questions to be answered here. That would be my recommendation. Any comments on that from the floor? Councillor Yates.
The comment I'll say is that, we're working hard at Staffordshire Moorlands to bring derelict and abandoned properties back into use, and this brings it back into use in a format which is suitable for, modern expectation of living, and as long as all building control requirements with regard to things like sustainable building controls, sustainable drainage I'm referring to, I'm fine with that personally.
Yeah, so I think it's a rather stunning design, but it is very, very different to the existing building. But I think, as you say, in terms of bringing into the use as a family home for the modern family home, then yeah. So in that case, I'm quite happy to recommend approval with the conditions that I stated there, but putting the caveat on it that says if these conditions cannot be met, then we would recommend refusal because it does not comply with the neighbourhood plan policies. We all happy with that? Can I have a show of hands, please? Right. Oh, sorry, I was proposing it.
Yes, she is.
Okay, in that case, I need a second, don't I? Right. Councillor Proudlove seconded it, and now we've got a show of hands.
So non-compliance with neighbourhood.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Right, and I've also recommended that we refer it back to the neighbourhood plan working group because there are areas that are non-compliant.
Yep.
Okay, right, okay, so moving on to SMD 2025-0407. That one there. Which is M.E. Mellor, 15 New Street, Biddulph Moor. It's a proposed 2-storey rear extension. For no pre-application advice. It is in the green belt. Have a quick. For those who are not aware, this is essentially Rock End really rather than Biddulph Moor. Okay. So it is This is the plans of the property. So it's a very modest, as you can see from this here, at this that corner there, two-story extension with a pitched roof to create a larger kitchen area of open plan kitchen dining room on the ground floor and to facilitate the internal reordering on the first floor, create a third bedroom. The walls are existing, are brick walls. It's proposed that wood brick to match for the extension. The roof is existing tiles and the proposed clay tiles to match for the extension. Windows and doors, existing UPVC, and again, the proposed additional materials will be UPVC to match. There are no additional documents provided with this. It is in the green belt. BNG is not applicable. The only possible neighbourhood plan policy that might be impacted is design, and I would suggest that having a pitched roof and blending in as it does, it is actually would represent consistent and good design. I would suggest, as I say, it's a very modest extension. It's in the green belt. From the location, as you can see from the front elevation, the extension won't be seen from the road. It's adjacent to another property here, with the property beside it there, and therefore it's unlikely to be seen. So I would suggest no adverse comments, but for the planning officer to ensure that it's compliant with all greenbelt regulations. Right, I've got Councillor Jones.
Yeah, I just realised it's the last one on the left, and I know them as well, so.
Yeah, I thought you might. Hence my comment at the beginning of the meeting about declarations of interest.
Even if it says Middlemore in it, yeah.
Yeah. That's not, it's normally a given, John, that you know everyone in the village. So my recommendation and therefore proposal would be to send it through with no adverse conditions, but subject to the planning officer ensuring that it is compliant with Greenbelt. Any other comments on that? And if not, can I have a second for it? Councillor Proudlove again, can I have a show of hands, please, for? Okay, thank you. So NAC, but for the officer to ensure it's compliant with Greenbelt regulations. Right, okay. Moving on. Right. To SMD 2025-0417, Mr. G. Beald of 9 Grangefield, Biddulph. This one. Okay, right, you can see where it is in the middle of the Grangefield estate. So this is the property. So again, no pre-application advice. It's the extension is to the existing front elevation dormer window. It's a very, very small extension, essentially, as you can see from this here to adding a little bit corner on there. That's all that's being added. You can see that corner there. It's a very small extension. This is the first floor dormer to square off the bedroom at the front. In my opinion, it improves the visual appearance of the property by increasing the symmetry of the dormer. For the wall materials, the walls are existing brick rendered and cladding, and the proposed cladding will match. The existing roof is tiled with a flat roof. It's proposed it will have a flat roof to match. Windows existing UPVC, and proposed that the windows will be UPVC to match. It does not impact any of the neighbourhood plan policies. It's not in the green belt. There's no BNG. I would only make the additional comment on this that it's a second extension application for the property. There was originally a front and rear two-bedroom extension in 1982, but there are no details available of that on the SMDC website, on the planning portal. But the latest change, I think, is so small as to be unlikely to breach the overdevelopment guidelines. So my recommendation would be no adverse comments and just send it through. Second from Councillor Jones. Has anyone any other comments to make on? No. Show of hands, please, for. Thank you. Okay. NAC. That deals with the 3 planning applications that were submitted in advance of the publication of the minutes. Sorry, of the agenda.
Yes.
Do we have? Yeah. Okay. We have supplementary, so we'll come on to the supplementaries after item 41.
Yes, we realised that we really should formally approve the recommendations that you submitted over the summer months directly to the district council. So they went round on email and everyone had the opportunity to contribute towards those. But we do really need to minute that that's what we said, so that we've got that within our notes. So it really is just confirming
Okay, so do we
just to propose.
do we need a proposer and a seconder? Okay, so it's someone like Councillor Redford to propose. Anyone want to second that? Councillor Proudlove again. Can I show of hands that confirm the recommendations from the summer? Down there in a minute. Okay, thank you very much. Nice and quick. Okay, moving on to the 2 supplementary applications. We've received 2 supplementary applications. I think I've actually written these down in the reverse order. So I'll go through them in the order in which I've got them down. Okay, so let's do the High Street 50 SO.
Need to do it on
We can do it the easy way. I hadn't gone far enough, had it. Okay, so there we are. It's this one here. Okay, so it is on High Street. It's Mr. S. Riley of the Biddulph and Tunstall Chiropody Clinic on properties 56 and 58 High Street, Biddulph. It's an application for a change of use of the first floor premises to offices going to use Class E. There was no pre-application advice. The proposal is for change of use for the first floor from a 3-bedroom residential dwelling unit, which is under market housing maisonette, to non-residential Class E C brackets II2. Professional services providing 7 full-time employment opportunities. The plans include replacing the existing signage to the right frontage for a more the more modern frontage of the 2 properties. This is the property which is currently under consideration for local listing. It was awaiting pictures of the earlier frontage to determine if there's sufficient remains of the original property. This is the old butcher's shop, I believe, to meet the threshold for preservation. So let's have a look. Here we are. So this is the property. You may recognise it. It was previously Askey and Sutcliffe. The signage is still remaining there.
Position shop. This shop, not the butchers.
I defer to your more in-depth local knowledge, Councillor Rogers. This is the.
Tell you what it was in 1928.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I rather think it was the Co-op Butchers. The Co-op Fish Shop was further up.
Thank you, Councillor Lawton. I will suggest that your knowledge of the history of the town is probably slightly greater than the youngster Councillor Rogers, and therefore we'll go back to the original. But it was the butchers. Right, moving on. So this is the signage which they're suggesting might be changed. This is the side that was the original shop. There are concerns regarding this brick pillar here in terms of the local listing. That's the history to it. Right, it does have a design an access statement, and it's quite nice because it does actually specify both or reference both the SMDC local plan and the Biddulph Town Council Neighbourhood Plan documents. It demonstrates clearly compliance with some of the key policies, which you'll see I've identified below. There are 3 key policies in the Neighbourhood Plan that are impacted by this. And it also references the SMDC growth strategy. And this is where I may need to declare an interest because I'm chair of the Growth and Economy Committee and therefore have a vested interest in that. It's about regarding the lack of small office provision in the SMDC towns. And this would be an opportunity to add potentially 4 additional small office spaces above what was historically been a commercial property. My only concern on it is that the design statement says property is currently vacant, but the application indicates that the site is not vacant. So I think that needs some clarification, but I think it may simply be the fact that the ground floor isn't vacant or wasn't when the application was put in. But it does not look as if the residential property above has been occupied for some time. So as I say, the policies that are impacted are Biddulph Town Centre, LE1, in that it's an additional non-retail employment in the town centre. It's also impacted on design in terms of they're not suggesting anything that would modify the existing design of the property. They're not suggesting anything significantly different to that, and the opening hours are such that it would not impact the amenity of neighbouring properties, and it does adequately give space for bins and bikes for those that would want to cycle into work. It complies with DES 2. The statement is because town centre parking is adequate, therefore public realm car parking and movement are complied with. I would suggest that we would recommend approval as it meets a need within the town for small office space. However, I won't propose that because I think I might have vested interest in that. That would be my recommendation for someone else to propose, and I'll take comments from the floor now. Councillor Lawton, then Councillor Rogers, and then Councillor Brown.
Would it be right in saying, is it the corner one, or is it the one?
It's the one on the corner here. On
Corner.
yes,
I thought, yes, of South.
yeah, it's the whole thing. 56 and 58.
As a whole.
Yes.
One on the, yes.
Upstairs and downstairs.
May I make an observation? Now, this might not be pertinent to the application, but I was conscious of the fact that there were complaints, were there not, about vibration and damage when buses turned that corner from High Street. You know, all the buses did it. And in looking to the future and pedestrianisation of the upper High Street, I think that corner is going to be heavily used in future, with buses coming from Wolf Road, turning right and then right again to return to the bypass via South View. It's simply with that in mind that I'm a little bit concerned.
What we have here is an application for a change of use from residential to commercial to a business use.
So if it's because it exists, you know, it's my observations not are invalid, but can't be considered. Fair enough. But I thought I'd just mention.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lawton, for the information and for the concern. Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, I've got no objects with this. I'm surprised it's got to go through finance, but it's been offices for quite a long time upstairs.
No,
Downstairs.
upstairs is officially registered as residential.
It's been offices, isn't it?
If it's been used as offices, then that's been effectively, this is effectively retrospective, but it doesn't say it's retrospective. But I think it's changed hands, I would suggest.
And
And
that's solely recently.
right. Okay, so Councillor Proudlove, and then Councillor Yates. I think you.
Enthusiastically endorse the application. That would fit.
So you'd happily propose that we recommend approval because we need it. I had a second from Councillor Jones, but Councillor Yates, did you have a comment to make before we go to a vote?
So the same, it's 47 jobs. It's keeping an iconic building which is really in the centre of the town in full occupation, mitigating any potential risk of it being another on the high street. And with 7 members of staff, that would suggest a reasonable footfall. We're going to be visiting the high street.
I absolutely concur with you, but I say because of my potential conflict as the involvement in the growth strategy, and I think perhaps actually Councillor Proudlove, you may have to discount yourself as well.
Proposal or second, whichever one.
Okay, right. It was proposal was missing. Okay, so proposed Councillor Yates, seconded by Councillor Jones. Can we have a show of hands, please? For thank you. Don't be abstaining because of. And I think Councillor Proudlove was probably abstaining as well.
I already said I'd enthusiastically endorse the.
So I enthusiastically endorse it as well, but I'm not voting on it.
I abstain too.
Okay, sorry. In that case, I'll go back through the formal process. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, right. We've now been through the formal process of all parts. So thank you very much. Right. Finally, moving on to SMD 2024-0570, the day nursery on Craig side. So this is the location in the just outside the town centre. All right, so it's from Mrs. Hannah Keeling, Willow Tree Day Nursery, the Day Nursery Craig side. It's a single-storey extension to form a new staff room and an enlarged kitchen, together with a new classroom. There was pre-application advice, and I think there's some feedback from that in terms of BNG. I'm not sure. In terms of the proposals, it's construction of 2 new extensions. Here, proposed staff room, kitchen, and here, proposed classroom extension. One on either side of the building to create 1 new classroom, and on the other an enlarged kitchen with a new staff room. Extensive reordering of the interior to change the use of some of the rooms is also included. From a materials point of view, the existing walls are yellow-brown facing brick, and it's proposed the brick will match for the extensions. Similarly, the existing flat roof will be matched with the new flat roof of the extensions. Windows and doors, existing white UPVC, and it's proposed to be white UPVC to match. There was no design and access statement supplied, but there were a number of, despite the application form saying that BNG was not applicable for the de minimis reasoning, it's not in the green belt, but it's just a matter of interest. There were several BNG documents attached. And they can seem to contain contradictory information. One shows that there's actually a minus 9.45 habitat change. Another suggests a like-for-like biodiversity replacement. There's a crudely modified plan, which is this one here, where they've added additional planting of non-native species. And I don't think any of the information at all is at all helpful. There is a coal mining report that recommends intrusive site investigation. As far as I can tell, additional comment on this, the application does not state there'll be additional staff employed, which suggests that looking at the plans, that there's no additional capacity being created. They're simply moving things around and creating a new staff room, a new classroom on one side, but it's being replacing rooms inside that have been repurposed. And for that reason, I'm not going to exclude myself from voting on this as a potential rival childcare provider, because I am involved in more first school and their childcare provision. But also, I won't exclude myself from the discussion, as I have previously on these sorts of issues, but I will not vote on the final suggestion. As far as I can see it, there are no neighbourhood plan policies that are impacted. And I couldn't make a recommendation on the basis that the information presented was just too confusing. So I would recommend that we refer it back to the planning officers for their professional judgment to highlight the BNG issues and our concerns around that, and also suggesting that the condition for the mining from the mining reports are all added as conditions to any approval that people give them. That's my point of view. Anyone else want to make a comment on that? Councillor Yates.
The only comment I'll make, I mean, you did address it in some respects by saying it doesn't, there's no implication that they're going to increase the number of placements at the nursery. The concern I've got, and one is as a past county councillor, is that Crayside is a very difficult road. The access is very difficult. There's a lack of pavements, and there's a very high density of houses, and as a consequence, a very, very high density of cars and things. If there was a suggestion, you implied there wasn't, that there were going to be more places, therefore even more vehicles using Cragside with its restrictions. what I was going to suggest, and I'm still minded to ask, but is to write to the county council to put traffic calming either side of the nursery, because it is a dangerous place which gets an awful lot of complaints and complaints with regards to traffic and the way the traffic flows around there. And that would make the environment safer for kiddies and parents dropping off at the time of, you know, fast handovers and not an unreasonable and over costly request, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, right. Thank you, councillors. I think that's something we could perhaps add to the recommendations that the planning department deal with that. Okay. Councillor Law.
If I may speak.
Councillor.
Into Councillor Yates's point about the nature of the road at Craigside. I use that piece of road frequently. And I know at pickup time, very often parents are opening what you might call the outside doors of the cars to load their young ones in. And that's an extra factor, given the nature of the application, and in a road which itself isn't very wide, as you say, and with no pavements.
Yeah, if I could just come back, I honestly think, knowing what we know now, we would have pushed hard to insist on traffic calming on that section of that road. Obviously, you know, we can't go back in time, we can't change that, but if there is a modification which implies an increase in capacity, really, I think from a safety of the residents, the safety of the people dropping off and picking up, I think it's something which is quite reasonable and a low cost intervention. I don't think cost would really come into it, but I can't see it being draconian. I think it's something the county council should support, for supporting our residents. I think it should write to them personally.
Thank you, councillor Yates. Does anybody else want to make any comment on this? So essentially, the proposal is that we send it without a recommendation, refer it back to the planning officer for their professional judgment regarding the need or none for BNG for this, to ensure that conditions are applied with regard to the mining reports, and that they are. Do we want them to take up with the county council any suggested traffic calming measures? Councillor Yates, would you want to add that as an additional comment to go to the planning officer?
Which is raised, any implication of an increased traffic flow on a road which is lacking a pavement close to the town centre, an awful lot of children involved. It is effectively a day school. I think it's something which should be seriously considered. Coupled with the fact that I have had a number of representations about normal traffic flow,
right.
That's just compounding.
Yeah, so essentially, we're adding another line into that says that expresses our concern regarding the safety on the road, and would recommend that they request traffic calming measures from the county council.
Perhaps the solution is that through the chair, sorry,
yes,
that we have a highways report on it.
I don't think there is a highways report.
No, perhaps we
Request that.
Okay, in that case, yes, that sounds like the best. That sounds like a very good suggestion, councillor. So we're all happy to add that to formally request a highways report. Okay, can I have someone to propose this, please? Have councillor Yates, second, councillor Lawton. Can I have a show of hands, please? Okay, right, and I am abstaining, and no one else. No, there were no other hands that didn't go up other than mine. So, okay, right, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. That deals with all our planning applications. So, moving on to 43 decisions and notices received from the district council. I don't think there are any there. All three were approved. I think that we had no adverse comments, I think, on the ones that were in there. So I don't think there's anything there to concern ourselves with. And there are no appeals. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. And at 18:09, I declare the planning meeting closed. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you for those who have been watching online.